Welcome to the Urban Wall Street Project. I'm your host, Earl Christian III, and hopefully you've been watching us for the past couple of weeks and learning some things about how you can begin the process of changing your financial state, creating some financial freedom, or simply just getting financial stability, because it's something that we all strive for daily in our professions, whether we're working or playing. And we've talked about a lot of different terminology. We've talked about linear income, residual income, and passive income. Those are the three natures of your money. We've talked about some certain vocabulary that's important to know. Currency, capital, stock, bond, security, and what these things stand for and represent. It's very important to know that. So as we begin a new show, the question I want to ask everybody is this, and you ask yourself, how does language affect your financial progress? And sometimes you might say, how does language affect my financial progress? What does language have to do with me making money? Well, think about this. How you speak, how you carry yourselves. Does the way you speak, can it affect whether you get a job or not? How you're sitting in an interview, the body language that you're using when you're sitting in an interview, can that affect the outcome? If you're going to get a loan from a bank, the words that come out of your mouth, the language that you use, the vernacular, the way you're sitting, your posture, can those things affect the outcome of what you're trying to make happen? And the reality is yes. We all know that the language that we may use out in the street or in the hood is not the language you want to use if you're trying to secure a job, if you're trying to secure a position, if you're trying to convince someone you're serious about changing your life. Because when you go to someone who's a financial planner or a financial consultant, or they're in the area of finances or creating financially free individuals, time is precious. We all hear the phrase, time is money. No, time is time, money is money. And no one wants to waste time when they could be making money. So the reality is, language, how we speak. What do you know? Some people think, oh, my language, I speak English. That's the language I speak. Well, I don't mean it in that particular sense. Once again, how do you speak English? Are you speaking, yo, what the deal, son? I'm trying to get this job. I need to make this dough. Is that appropriate language for in an interview? You're going to get a bank loan. Listen, I just need this loan. I'm trying to get this ride, and I need an extra 3 G's. Is that the language that you would want to use? No, it's not. So it's very important as we make our quest for financial freedom and to remove money from the equation that we understand the language that we want to use. We understand how we want to carry ourselves. We understand what people want to hear. Because remember, language is not just what you're saying. It's what people want to hear. Are you using the right language to get that financial goal? If it's a job, if it's a grant, if it's a loan, are you using the appropriate language? Now, the sad thing is, sometimes we all do, sometimes we don't. But the reality is, one slip of the tongue can cost you a deal. The Urban Wall Street Project is about financial stability, economic empowerment, communally. The community that you live in, does it speak the language of success? Does it breathe the language of success? Does it speak the language of prosperity? Does it breathe the language of prosperity? See, these are the things that's very, very important. We are all extremely intelligent individuals in urban America. We see it every day. We spend money every day. We know what we like. We know what we don't like. And we often know how to get the things that we want. Sometimes we are deserving of the things that we need and we want, but we can't get them. How many times have you ever gone on an interview to get a job and you knew you were perfect for the job, you've done the job before, you could do it, you had that confidence, and you felt that you said all the right things in the interview. But you, unfortunately, may not know what you said. And the reality is, the employer will never call you to tell you, well, the reason you didn't get this job is because your language just was not suitable. It doesn't even have to be a job where excellent communication skills is necessary or very relevant. But how you come across to that person who's given the opportunity is very important. Is your language being received the way that you want it to be received? Now, many times there's opportunities to correct that. A lot of programs have, in urban America, we have a lot of different programs that have job readiness, that have speech programs. audio programs. And it's just about, I really want to get myself in a position to make it happen. I have children, I have a family, I want a future. But no one ever taught me. In school, they're not teaching us how to write. They're not teaching you how to speak the language of success. You learn literature. You learn basically how to articulate yourself in an essay, which is important because you have to write. But are we truly learning the language that requires us to condition ourselves to be better salespersons? Because some people say, I'm not a salesperson, but understand something. You're selling yourself every day. A salesman has language. You go into a Best Buy, their language is, hey, that big TV will look perfect on your mantle, or whatever the case may be. Wherever you go, the moment hi, can I help you? That's language. Their body language is, hi, can I help you? No, I don't really want you to help me. Hi, can I help you? You look, sure. How people come at you is how you treat them. You want to treat people the way you meet them, or you treat them the way they receive you. So the same is such when you're going for financial stability. You have to be very particular about the language that you use and how you use it. So let's start with the first form of income. Before you get to passive and residual income, unfortunately, we have to start with linear, because this is the Urban Wall Street Project, and it's all about financial empowerment. Linear income, passive income, residual income will be themes and terms that will continually be used throughout this entire process. Okay? Linear income. Work an hour, get paid for an hour. Well, you know what? I have plans. I'm going to buy a house. I'm going to buy me a car. I'm going to buy a franchise. I saw an infomercial on TV last night. I only need $300, and I believe that I can do that. I like the language. It sounds like something that I can do. I feel comfortable. And most importantly, with their help, I can get to financial stability. But I need that first $300. So I have to get a job. And a job is linear income for the most part. Some people have jobs that aren't linear income. They might want to call it a career. A career is different from a job. But for all intents and purposes, a job is anywhere you have to be for 9 hours, whether you like it or not. Because the ultimate goal is, I have an objective. I need money for a certain thing. So you have to throw on the shirt and tie. Language, body language, fashion language. Can you go to an interview in jeans and a T-shirt and some white ass? Shouldn't go to it. Should you come to an interview with the do-rag line around your forehead? It's not good language, you know what I'm saying? That's our culture. That's your style. That's your prerogative. But it's not the language that you want to project to an employer. If you're going in to get going into loan and you want a bank loan, it might be nice to have a suit on. Doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get the loan because you have a suit on. But that language speaks volumes to the lender. He has a suit on. He looks professional. He looks business-oriented. He has a solid plan. It seems like something you might want to work with. Because remember, a lot of things about relationships. Walk up in there, and the opposite, you could be just as thorough as the person with the suit on. But if you're not representing it that way, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I talk to a lot of young kids all the time, and they feel like, oh, nobody understands. Nobody want to give me a chance. But I listen to the way they're speaking. So sometimes I say, well, tell me what you said to the employee. Oh, I basically, blah, 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 whatever they say. And I have to tell them, you know what? Don't beat yourself up because you are the person for the job. Unfortunately, you misarticulated and misrepresented yourself. And that's what happens. And the sad thing is, no one's going to tell you because you said potato instead of potato, you didn't get the opportunity. So know the language of the employer, the banker, or whoever it is that you're trying to impress. So how do we start with language? Well, first thing you want to do is just read. Read a newspaper. Because when you read newspapers, what it kind of helps you do is you see the language of the business world. The language that's used in a newspaper, the terminology, the references, that's how people speak. That's how the business world works. So it's very important to know that. Talk to lenders. Talk to mortgage brokers. Talk to bankers. Do your homework. It's very important. Everything is a process. Every single step of the way is a process. I started doing this show because I realized that, You know what? A lot of our people in urban America, they have what it takes. We see it every day. But a lot of people are afraid. Fear of your language holds you back. I know what I want to say. I just don't know how to say it. How many people have ever heard someone say that or had to say it themselves? I know what I want to say. I just don't know how to say that. It's almost like an oxymoron. Because if you know what you want to say, how can you not know how to say it? The reality is you know what you want to say. You know how to say it. You're just afraid that you may not be saying it correctly. And a lot of times that may be. Language. Very important. Not English or Spanish or Swedish or Japanese or Chinese. It's not the technical language. It's how you utilize the language is what we're talking about. How do I utilize the language for my progress? So the question is, how does language affect your financial progress, financial prosperity? Well, if you speak well, opportunities will come to you. If you don't speak well, opportunities won't. If you dress nicely, someone might be more inclined to call you into their office. We see it all the time in the hood. Why do we like to look good? Why do we like to look good in urban America? Because maybe subconsciously we're thinking it's going to replace something or represent something that's lacking. It's going to compensate. I don't have to really speak too much. I got on a $500 outfit. I don't have $500 in the bank, but I look like $500, and I can spit a few game and it might work. And the reality is it might work. But I always learn what doesn't come out in the wash comes out in the rinse. Getting a job is not always the hardest thing. Sometimes it's keeping that job because you can get the job. But if after 2 or 3 days or 2 or 3 hours, your productivity is not representative or reflective of what was presumed by the employer, it's not going to happen. You may be fired. You may be laid off. So just keep in mind how you speak. Some people say, oh, I know this is how I talk in the street, but when I get into a job interview or I get to, I'm going to the bank, I know how to speak. I know what to say then. It's not true. It's a myth. So urban America, please, let's stop deluding ourselves. If we're not speaking it that way every day, you won't know if you speak wrong. You won't know because who's going to tell you? Very few people are able to speak street, which might be their daily vernacular, and then flip it up and become an egghead, if you will, and speak with much more vast vocabulary. It's just not the way the world works because it's not how we're conditioned. We speak and act the way we speak and act. The way we write is the way we speak. If you think you speak differently, once upon a time, take time to write an essay. And write an essay. Don't try to edit it. Just write it as it comes to your mind. And when you write, I don't care if it's 3 or 4 lines, when you write it, read it back and see if it makes sense to you. And if it makes sense to you, give it to someone else that doesn't know you and see if it makes sense to them and see if they can find some errors. The reality is how we write is how we speak. Language. Not always spoken. Because sometimes you have to go to a job, they want a writing sample. They want to see you, just write something. How do you do it? Because now, if you can't speak well, the fact that you're going to have to write something might be a little bit more challenging. Because a lot of us can surely speak better than we write, even when we're speaking improperly, or how should I say? I won't say improperly, not to be offensive, non-standard. Okay? When we're not speaking the standard English, it looked upon negatively, it's frowned upon. But we know in the hood that we have our own English. In the hood, in urban America, we have our own English. We have our own language that others don't understand. And that could be a benefit. How many people have ever been standing somewhere and you're in a group of people or maybe another ethnic group, and when they don't want you to know what they're speaking about, they start speaking in their language. Now, their language could be their native tongue. But remember, language is very broad. But the reality is they're articulating themselves well. Some individuals like to take tests or if they have to give an oral exam, can they give it in English? Can I give it in Spanish? Can I give it in Chinese? Whatever's comfortable for them. They like to use the language that's comfortable for them. Because in their mind, if they can be comfortable, then they can be successful. And success is definitely based on your ability to be comfortable and articulate yourself in a manner conducive to your prosperity and progress. So, what have we learned right now? Am I speaking to my benefit? Am I thinking to my benefit? Am I writing to my benefit? Am I doing all the things that I need to do that are going to benefit me and enable me to get to the financial position that I want to be in? How does my language affect my progress and prosperity? That's a question you want to ask yourself. And you want to remember that question. When you've been going to a job, how am I speaking? When you're about to go to a bank and apply for a loan, whether you have good credit or poor credit, how am I speaking? How am I representing myself? Do I know what I want to say? Good idea as I think about it. If you know you have something that's very important to you, and it can be the factor to change your life or a turning point, write it down. You see it all the time, whether it's your president, mayor, a politician. When they come on the TV screen or they come to see you, to the organizations or come to communities to speak, very few of them are coming out there cold turkey and speaking at the top of their head. There's a process that allows that language to come across the way it is. It's been written down. So let it be written. So let it be done. You write it because writing it is preparation. And the reality is, for success, you need is 5 P's when it comes to success. Proper performance prevents I'm twisted. Prior preparation prevents poor performance. You see how language can hurt you? You see how language can hurt you? I knew what I wanted to say. It didn't come out right. One-shot deal, I messed it up. I corrected it quickly. Now, imagine being in a position where you only have one shot, you don't have the opportunity to correct it. Write it down. Go over it. Know it. Be comfortable. Because the reality is, whenever you're going into something, whether you're looking for a job or you're looking for try to buy a home, buy a business, if there's going to be a mutual exchange, the person that has to allocate has much more to lose than you. They're much more nervous. Know that when you go to sit in front of an employer for a new job, they're much more nervous than you. For you, it's, I hope I get this job, but if not, I have 3 other interviews lined up. The employer's like, well, if I hire this person, I sure hope they're a good worker because I'm paying insurance. And it's a whole process to get them involved. And if they don't work out, it's a long waste of time. So the person actually doing the lending has a lot more to lose than you. You need a loan for $10,000. You use the right language, you go in there. Who has more to lose? Once you get to $10,000, you have nothing to lose. The bank can lose that $10,000 if this person's not on point. That's why it's so hard to get things happening, because we don't always say the right things in the beginning. Our language, body language. If I came on the TV screen and I said, welcome to the Urban Wall Street Project, we're going to show you how to get it done. How many people at home would stay on the channel? But because I know and I'm comfortable with myself and I know it's necessary, this is the Urban Wall Street Project. Sit in the mirror. Practice your language in the mirror. Practice your language with your friends, with the people who's important. If you're going to get a job, you're going to get a job so you can be a better husband, be a better boyfriend, be a better father, be a better son, be a better brother. So it's important that you practice. Utilize them to practice. Let them be the employer. Let them be the banker. Let them be the person that's going to decide whether or not they're going to invest in you. The reality is, most people don't want to invest in something that the person is not investing in. If I came to you and I said, listen, I need $100 because I got this amazing idea. You want to invest? You might ask me, well, how much money have you put in? Well, I haven't put in any yet, but when I get your 100, you'd be like, no. That language is all wrong. You telling me about an amazing opportunity, but all you need is $100 from me, but you haven't put any money up yet. No one in their right mind would give you the $100. But if I said, listen, I found an amazing opportunity, I want to know if you want to be a part of it. If you have $100, you can make it happen. Well, how much have you put into it? Listen, I got $500 in. I went in big time. But, you can do it for $100. That person might more be inclined because the language that you utilize is not as intrusive and it's not offending and it doesn't scare them off. But they're feeling like, well, if he has money invested in it, I'll invest in it too. That language is very important. Knowing what you want to say, knowing what you need, and knowing the people that you're speaking to. One of the things that hurts me, I've taught GED, I've taught reading, I've taught writing, I've taught math, and a lot of individuals, especially young individuals, have amazing ideas and they're just flowing with energy. But their biggest fear is being misread. not saying it correctly, fumbling, getting stuck, and not knowing what to say. That's the biggest fear. Most people don't like speaking in front of a crowd. Not because they're afraid to speak in front of people, because we all speak in front of crowds all the time. Maybe not directly in front of a crowd, but we all speak in front of a crowd all the time. But it's when that spotlight's on you, and you have to have that confidence. Is my language correct? Is my body language correct? Is my verbal language correct? What do I believe me? Would I believe me if I was sitting in front of the audience? Would I believe me if I was sitting in front of the camera? That's what it's about. Because financial progress is simply a process. It's a step. Being able to articulate yourself well is one. Being able to speak well and represent yourself is another. Because how do I mean? I want to be wealthy. I want to buy stocks. I want to buy mutual funds. I want to buy IRAs. That's language. That's the language of business. So if you want to become financially stable, you have to know the language of business. It's very, very important. So how do we begin to understand the language of business? Start talking to people who are in that field. Tax accountants, brokers, bankers, lenders, financial consultants, financial advisors. These are the individuals that can equip you with the language necessary to move forward for progress for yourself. And the reality is, if you are progressing yourself, you will want to do more for your community and beyond. And the beautiful thing is, once you start progressing, progress feels good. How many people do you know have progressed and felt good about and then stopped? How many people, once you start learning, you feel good about learning? You learn 5 new words. Do you want to stop? No. You want to learn 5 more, especially if 3 of those words impress somebody the day before. Your goal is to make yourself the hottest commodity it can possibly be. Language, knowledge, education, dedication, persistence, commitment, passion. These are all components necessary for financial stability. All components necessary for financial stability. Know that you can't have one without the other. How many people want to be financially stable sitting at home? Of course. You can be if you're utilizing the right language. So ask yourself, am I using the right language in my daily activities? Am I dressing in the language that I feel comfortable and confident and impressive? Do I look the part that I want to be? So we all look good a lot of times in urban America, We look good. Like, well, I don't have $1 million, but that doesn't mean I can't look like it. And there's nothing wrong with that until it becomes a detriment to your financial progress. Because if you always try to keep yourself looking like $1 million and you're not making $1 million or anything close to that, at some point in time, you're going to find yourself in a deep red hole. And we all know, if you don't know, red is the color of debtness, and black is the color of financial stability, or at least not being in the hole. So know that, in the red, in the black, that's language, monetary language. Know the terms that can help promote your language, promote you, because you are truly your biggest asset. But at the same time, you can be your greatest liability. You can be the key to take your life to the stratosphere, or you can be the key to take your life to down Skid Row. It's really just that simple. It's not rocket science. It's not something you're going to sit in the classroom and learn, because you won't learn it in the classroom. You can go to college for 5 years, 10 years. In very few schools will you learn how to make money. You will learn how to earn money, because the difference between earning money and making money. In the literal sense, the only entity that makes money is governments. They make money in mints. But earning money and making money, for all intents and purposes, is a little bit different. Because when you earn money, you're pretty much earning what somebody else might feel is your worth. I earned $50 today, so that's what I worked. Or I made it. I made money. I went out, I created a CD, I packaged it, wrapped it up, went out and sold it, and that product made me. It didn't earn me anything. It made me. See, your time spent earns, like money in the bank earns interest, because the money has to spend a certain amount of time to earn interest. Okay? You make money. I made a product. I went out there and sold it. That's a beautiful thing. Language. Is my language benefiting me? We talk about a lot of things, and we're going to continue talking about all types of components necessary for your enhancement financially, but it's not always about money. It's about personal and how you represent yourself and speak and carry yourself. My name is Earl Christian III. You've been watching the Urban Wall Street Project. Keep your head up. Keep rocking. We'll see you next time.